There is something very special about that time of the year when the snow starts to fall quietly from the sky. When all the ornaments are finally up on the tree and everyone is feeling so relaxed. Except you. Because you've been up all night worrying about that 18-hour print you decided to start right before going to bed, which is now closing in on its final layer. But then, when it comes off the build plate and you see the part you had in mind coming out exactly how you envisioned it, with a perfect surface finish, you're finally starting to calm down. And the only thing missing now is a cup of hot chocolate with some delicious whipped cream and the subtle smell of some burning wood. But the thing is, this is actually a vanilla scented candle, because the wood scent is actually coming from this one, and it's called the xTool M1 Ultra, which also happens to be the sponsor of this video, which I'll get more into later. Whenever I begin a new case project, I usually start by testing out different part configurations and visualizing them using Shaper 3D in a similar way to what you see here. When I'm happy with the layout, I'll create a chassis around the parts to hold them in place, before closing it up with some type of removable side panel, and usually this is all made from plastic. However, ever since I got my hands on the xTool M1 Ultra, I've been wanting to create a case design that utilizes the best of both worlds, 3D printing combined with beautifully laser-cut side panels. And finally, the design I had visualized has come to life. This case turned out beyond all expectations, with this amazing combination of premium carbon fiber infused filament and side panels made out of dark walnut wood with a deep and powerful brown color, resulting in a case that's incredibly unique looking, combining complex geometry with a clean and minimalistic aesthetic. The case is also quite compact, with a size of only 320 by 240 by 190 mm. Despite the small volume, we can still fit a mini ITX motherboard, a 2.5 slot GPU up to 295 mm in length, a 120 mm AIO liquid cooler, or an air cooler up to 85 mm. We can also fit a SFX power supply and up to a total of 9 chassis fans. When it comes to printing, the case requires a minimum print volume of 240 by 240 mm. So to all you tiny printer people, I'm sorry, this one's not for you. The estimated filament usage for this build should be in the range of about 1.5 to 2 kilograms of filament in total, and thanks to the carbon fiber infused filament used to print this case, the surface finish came out absolutely stunning, with almost invisible layer lines despite being printed at a 0.3mm layer height. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what if I don't have access to a fancy laser cutting machine? Well, don't worry, because there will also be 3D printable side panel alternatives available for this project. Alright, enough talk. Let's get started building this case. So, the first thing we want to do is to grab the rear half of the main body and use a set of pliers to carefully snap off all the custom support pillars. The case is designed in such a way that it requires no additional supports, as they're all built into the 3D file where needed and are super easy to remove once printed. The front half of the case has some small notches and tracks that go into the rear half to ensure that they automatically align perfectly when we push them together. To bind the two parts together, we want to use these weird looking butterfly joints that simply push into the hole between the parts, ensuring a tight and secure fit. Then we repeat this until all the 7 joints are in place. These can also be melted or glued into place if you prefer that extra peace of mind. And that's pretty much it for assembling the chassis. Let's now open our drawer and grab some M3 threaded inserts. These can now be melted into place in our chassis, starting with a total of 4 inserts for the motherboard standoffs, followed by another 8 threaded inserts for the top of the chassis. These will be used later to install our external top panel. And then 3 more for the GPU mount. When our side panel frame is done printing, we can place the 2 halves onto our main chassis before melting in place another 8 threaded inserts here as well. 4 into each half, and these will be used to secure in place our external side panel. Now let's open the drawer again and reach all the way in the back for a stack of these 8x3mm neodymium magnets for our magnetic side panel. The magnets can be pushed into place one by one, and I recommend trying to have the same polarity on all the magnets on the main chassis. This will make it much easier later when you install the opposing magnets on the removable side panel. When all 9 magnets are in place, we can add another 8 magnets to the inside of the chassis, and you'll see why very soon. For these 8 magnets, the polarity doesn't really matter, because they're not gonna be stuck to other magnets. Next, we can move on to the side panels. Here we also need to install 9 more magnets, and here it's important to ensure that the polarity is right on each magnet so the panel will actually stick to the main chassis. If a magnet hole feels too tight, it's possible to use a sharp object like some scissors to gently scrape off a tiny bit of the inside of the hole until you're able to gently tap the magnet into the hole, and if necessary, use glue to keep the magnets in place. If it's all done correctly, the side panel should now just fall perfectly into place and stay there. Now, some of you are probably interested in knowing exactly what filament I used to get this awesome surface finish on the printed parts, and I actually used this filament called CarbonFil CFO3 from a Dutch company called FormFutura. And as the name implies, it's a carbon fiber infused filament, which is what makes it so good at hiding layer lines. And I'm absolutely blown away by the difference in surface finish I'm getting compared to the cheap generic PETG I've previously used for many of my projects. You can learn more about FormFutura's filaments by checking out the link down below. Let's move over to the star of the show, the laser cut wooden side panels. Which also brings us to the sponsor of this video, xTool, and their brand new 4-in-1 machine called the M1 Ultra. The M1 Ultra is a multifunctional machine that with the help of replaceable toolheads can do a big variety of tasks like laser cutting, laser engraving, full color printing on a variety of surfaces like fabric, wood and much more. It can also do super detailed pen drawings, create stickers and also cut through a ton of different materials with a variety of different blade attachments. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what this machine can do, so if you're interested in learning more, you should definitely check out my full review of the xTool M1 Ultra on this channel, or visit xTool's website through the link below to check out the M1 Ultra and some of xTool's other machines. Now, back to the side panels. With the M1 Ultra, it's super easy to create laser cut panels like this one. We start by grabbing a 3mm sheet of dark walnut plywood and place it in the machine inside our workable area. Next, we can simply import the SVG file containing the cutting pattern into xTool Creative Space. We can now select our material preset and automatically get the manufacturer's recommended settings based on what type of job we want to do to ensure that we get the best result possible. Keep in mind that when doing laser cutting, you need to exhaust the smoke generated by the machine either out of a window or into an air purifier like this one from xTool to get rid of all that harmful smoke. When the cutting job is done, we're left with an awesome looking panel with super clean cuts and minimal burn marks. But let's take it up a notch by treating the wood with a coat of boiled linseed oil. The linseed oil enhances the dark natural tone of the walnut wood, giving it a rich dark premium finish. After coating the entire surface, they need to dry for about a day in a well-ventilated room. If you're still watching at this point, I'm just going to assume that you'd like this type of content. Why not consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on future projects like this one and much more to come in the future. After about a day of drying, we're left with these absolutely beautiful looking dark walnut panels ready to be installed onto the case. But first, we need to install some feet and all of our PC components. I actually forgot to record installing the feet, but these will attach using a threaded insert in each foot and an M3 screw attached from the inside of the body. Back to those 8 magnets we installed down here, these are actually, as you might have guessed, 4 chassis fans. Here we can install 2 92mm slim fans. And since the fan screws are made of steel, the magnets will stick to them. So by installing screws on the side of the fan facing the magnets, we can simply drop them into place and they will stay there. Next, we can add our motherboard and secure it onto the 4 standoffs. I'll be using a 120mm AIO liquid cooler in this build, and it attaches to this bracket that then will slide into the front of the chassis and lock in place using this little latching arm. Our GPU can then be installed, and here we can fit a graphics card up to 295mm long and 2.5 slots thick. The GPU can then be secured in place using a couple M3 screws. If we were to use an air cooler for the CPU, we can also install 2 more 92mm slim fans here at the top, secured in place using fan screws from the outside to exhaust hot air from the CPU cooler. Even though the actual clearance between the CPU and the power supply is roughly 90mm, I have set 85 as the recommended max cooler height to ensure room for air circulation. And also, if using an air cooler, we can of course use the front AIO mount for a normal 120mm intake fan instead. When using a liquid cooler, the top fans are not really necessary in my opinion, but can be installed if you want to. Before installing the power supply, it's a good idea to add our power cables, especially CPU power, as it will soon be harder to reach. After tucking away the cables nicely, the SFX power supply can then be secured in place from the back of the case. In this case, we'll be using a 12mm power button just like in most of my other builds. Remember to get one with long enough threads to go through the thick rear panel. To close up the space next to the GPU, we can slide into place this little cover that will stay in place by friction. After finalizing the cable management, we're ready to move on to our side panel, and here we can actually fit up to 4 92mm slim fans. By laying out the 4 fans like this, we can easily just drop the panels on top and secure them to the fans. The fans will actually serve as some of the strength in the panel by holding them together, so if you're not using fans here, there is a printable alternative bracket that serves the same purpose. When the fans are installed, the panel should now feel like one piece, but it's still not very strong. However, when we secure our external panel in place, it sandwiches the 2 side panel pieces in between the fan and the external panel, suddenly making it super rigid. When the side panel is fully assembled, it's just a matter of tidying up the fan cables so they don't go into the fan blades before we plug them in and drop the magnetic panel into place. Just like the side panel, the top panel is also attached to the main chassis the same way by using 8 M3x10mm screws. And just like that, the case is now complete and I could not be happier with the outcome. The combination of those beautiful dark walnut wood panels in combination with the superb finish from the carbon fiber infused filament is just amazing and also happens to fit perfectly into my already dark and wood themed desk setup. With a powerful processor and graphics card installed, this machine has a convenient and compact size that fits great into your on-desk setup and is a fun little project to do now that the winter time has come and we're spending more time inside. And again, if you didn't catch it earlier in the video, there will be both laser cuttable and 3D printable side panel versions available. So even if you don't have a laser cutter, you can still make this project with just your printer. Over to another topic, performance. When playing some Black Ops 6 multiplayer, we're looking at a GPU temperature on the Gigabyte 3070 of about 78 degrees. When running a FurMark GPU stress test on that same card, we're looking at a maximum temperature of 81 degrees, which is a little hotter than I was hoping, but still way within acceptable ranges. But I do recommend printing this case in either PETG or another filament like ASA or ABS that can handle some heat. Where I was really surprised was when testing the CPU cooling, because even though we only have a small 120mm radiator, the maximum temperature on the power-hungry i9-10900K processor during a Cinebench stress test was only 58 degrees, which was very impressive and honestly lower than I expected. But this is possible due to all those 92mm intake fans in the side panel constantly blowing cold air into the radiator fan, allowing it to stay this cool, despite its small size. Even though the GPU temperature was a little higher than I was hoping, I would definitely call this project a win, and it will be my new main gaming PC replacing the previous ITX case that I made during the summer. If you're interested in building this case for yourself, the files are obtainable through my Printables Club membership or as a one-time purchase on the same page depending on your preference. There you can also find full written building instructions taking you through the entire process from start to finish. I also want to give a big thanks to xTool for sponsoring this video with their xTool M1 Ultra, allowing this project to turn out as good as it did with its super clean and precise laser cutting capabilities. So make sure to check out their website to find your next laser machine through the link down below. As always, I'd highly appreciate your feedback in the comments down below, as well as future project suggestions. Also, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future projects like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you return in my next video.